At this time, I recognize Commissioner Castor for some comments.
One of the great advantages of going last is all of the good stuff already is said, so I don't have to recap all of that. Of all of the accomplishments cited by my colleagues and all of the statements that were made, I have to disagree with one thing that Commissioner Shapiro said. I do not think that the changing of the parties had anything to do with the changing of the attitudes here in Montgomery County. It's long been thought that I didn't think the parties actually changed control this time, but that's a story for another time. I think that the great accomplishments and the assembly of an outstanding leadership team is as a result of personalities, having nothing to do with parties, having nothing to do with ideology. And I'm sure that if I thought about it long enough, I might be able to come up with something that I thought was trending toward partisan, but I can't immediately come up with anything now. I think that the accomplishments cited by my colleagues are a result of the attitude that they brought to the job to try to do the right thing and try to do it the right thing for the right reasons to benefit the people that work in and live in Montgomery County. And if we happen to be able to parlay that into publicity that's favorable for us and the county, then that's a byproduct. The reverse was true previously. It was always how to parlay policy and comments and posturing into personal aggrandizement and political advancement. So I don't think it has anything to do with party, Mr. Chairman. I think it has to do with people. You know, in May, I will have worked in Montgomery County for 28 years, serving Montgomery County. And that gives me a certain perspective. And when I ran for commissioner, I remember using the statement that I thought that the county needed a scalpel used on its government and a surgical change to it. After 4 years of serving as commissioner, I was quite certain that it then needed a chainsaw used on it and the equivalent of a revolution. And it got me to thinking, as Commissioner Shapiro was recounting the accomplishments, he asked me, and Commissioner Richards asked me, what did I see was wrong? This was back well before we took office, but after we had run an election campaign where we spent millions of dollars trying to tell the public that the other was no good. I have apologized for that. And I made a list of all of the things that I have voted no on. And Commissioner Shapiro and Commissioner Richards listened, and then they asked me, who in the county government do you think we could do without and need to be replaced? And they listened to that. And all of the things I voted no on have been reversed. And all of the persons that I identified as problems no longer work here. That has nothing to do with partisanship or politics. That has to do with thinking and analysis and people who brought to the job a new perspective. I was reminded by, again, by the comments made by my fellow commissioners of the great story of Benjamin Franklin traveling to Paris, France, during the Revolution. You'll recall that the Revolution wasn't going too well for the Americans. And the Americans called upon the most celebrated man in the country, and perhaps among the most celebrated men in the world at the time, Benjamin Franklin, and told him to go to France and try to convince the King of France to come into the war on the side of the Americans. And ultimately that is what happened and what led to the success that formed our country. And in that story, as is dramatized in a Broadway play starring the great actor Robert Preston, when they arrive in France, Franklin is entertaining everybody that would be seen with him and want to rub up against the great man with his stories. And they press him and they press him, and they ask Franklin, Dr. Franklin, what was your greatest invention? And he at first doesn't want to say anything, pushes it off, but they insist. Franklin pauses, And then he carefully explains that his greatest invention, which he formed on a rainy and lightning-filled evening after he was puttering in his laboratory, he came up with an idea. Now, what does the world need most? And he says that he made a working model the next day, and he called it the public me. He invented himself, he said. And he invented himself out of odds and ends and bits and specks, and he put it all together, and then he was so proud that it worked well. And when we came in here, I'm hardly suggesting that I am Benjamin Franklin or that the three of us together are Benjamin Franklin. But when we came in here, it had gotten so bad that it needed to be completely taken apart and reassembled. I thought it was a daunting task. Now, I have to admit, my colleagues are far more energetic than perhaps I was, and certainly more enthusiastic about it than I was. But they disassembled everything, and they reassembled it, and they put the thing together, and as Franklin says in the play, the damn thing works, and it works well. But government works well because of the people who hold the offices, whether appointed or elected. In the district attorney's office, we always chose the best people we could possibly choose. Why? Because we relied on them, and people's lives depended on them. Sitting up here, we chose the best possible people, and we let them do their jobs. And I think they've made us look good. I think they've made us look very good. I think my fellow commissioners have executed their duties as well as they possibly could have. And believe me, I would complain if I thought otherwise. And I think as we go into this coming year, and I am mindful that we have spent a lot of time complaining about the incompetence, ineptitude, and corruption of the previous administration, and I am embarrassed that I sat on the dais, although it was off to the side, during that time. I am mindful that we now need to show what we can do. We've corrected the problems of the past. We have set ourselves on a course where Montgomery County will only get stronger. And I am certain that there is nothing that we did that I am ashamed of. In the previous administration, there was almost nothing we did that I wasn't. I commend Commissioner Richards for her work on things that, frankly, I have no interest in. And I commend Commissioner Shapiro for never allowing anything to go forward until everybody was happy. And believe me, sometimes it's difficult to make me happy. And you know, I believe that that's a testament to people who came to this position who thought that public service was something that was giving and not taking in nature. And I'm proud to be part of this administration. And I'm proud of the people that work for us. I'm proud of the confidence the other commissioners have displayed in me. And I'm proud that we have become friends. And I think that Montgomery County is on its road back to greatness.